All right, so everybody, welcome to Guard Your Grill Boxing. I'm Ride or Die. You're here with Road Worker Ride or Die. We have one of the most promising prospects in the UK. I'm gonna let him introduce himself, but I'm gonna shout out and thank Coach Xavier, as well as Dylan White for allowing us this opportunity. And shout out, Roberto, the tribe, Roberto, Sleep, Corey, Docs, as well as my brother Coltrane. I'm Ride or Die, and you're doing Road Work with Ride or Die. Introduce yourself, champ.
Yeah, man. I'm Youssef Khoumari. I'm a super lightweight, born and bred in London, the UK. And I'm coming for all the smoke. Any super featherweights out there, look out for me. You know how it goes.
I appreciate that. So your nickname is Super. So how'd you get that nickname?
It come about, I was in the gym. I was in the gym as an amateur. I was with Xavier. I was in the gym. And it was something we've been thinking about for a long time. I think we was always trying to come up with an alias for me, a little nickname for me while I was training. But anything we come up with never really stuck. And then one day I was in the gym. I think I was getting ready. I was putting my wraps on, lacing up my boots. And Xavier came out of the office in the gym. He goes, "I've got one for you." And I went, "What is it?" Because I think we've been about 2-3 weeks. We've been trying to work something out. And then he goes, "Super," like Zab Super Judah. And then from there, it just stopped. Everyone just calls me Super now. I mean, there's people out there that know me as Super that don't even know my real name. So that's it. It's just stuck with it from then.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So tell me about how you got into the sport. You talked about how, Coach Xavier gave you your name, and just talk to us about how you got into boxing.
Me being originally from the Philippines, of course, Manny Pacquiao played a big role in me first gaining interest into boxing. I mean, I was always interested in combat sport and martial art. I did a martial art when I was very young. I did a martial art for a very long time. And, Manny Pacquiao came around and, my family members all loved him. And I was watching him clean up the divisions at the time. And I don't know, I just thought something about watching him and seeing how my family reacted to how he was winning the fights made me want to start boxing. So, I walked into my first gym. I think I was about 11 years old, laced up the glass for the first time. And, I just fell in love with the sport. And from then, just my life has just been boxing, really. Just been boxing. I mean, I used to go to school and teacher used to be talking to me about what we're learning and that. And all I'm thinking about is I want to go to the boxing gym later and train. I was just excited to go and spar. Like, I even remember the first sparring session I had when the coach actually said, go and glove up to do some sparring today. I jumped up in the air like a little kid, like I was so excited for it. And yeah, man, since then I've just dedicated myself to the sport, pushed myself to the limit. And yeah, I've come to where I am today. But yeah, definitely I'd say, my journey into sport, Manny Pacquiao did play a big role, us being from the same country, the same background. But yeah, man.
And that's good because, when you think about it, first of all, Manny Pacquiao is a great champion. Was it 8-time division champion? I'm not sure if he even broke it.
Yeah,
Probably more than that.
Yeah.
8 times. So obviously he's coming off a hot win. So, no one better to kind of like, emulate or kind of, aspire to be like or to follow, when you talk about champions. And he seems to be a great guy. We haven't met him, but he seems to be a great guy as well outside of the ring. So, talk to me about, when you think you just said something about your teacher, you be in class, your teacher, and I'm sure that teacher right now is probably like, oh my goodness, like here's this guy that was probably, doing his work, but his head was somewhere else. And I probably had to get it out the clouds while I was teaching. But talk to us about like, where would you be and what would you be doing if you weren't a boxer? Like what other sports or occupation would you be doing?
I mean, I've always been interested in sport. I'm a naturally competitive person, so I probably think that if I stayed on the right path and that, I'd probably be involved in sports somehow. I'd be maybe a personal trainer. I was actually a personal trainer for 5-6 years. I only just stopped about a year ago because I've been able to commit full time to boxing. But yeah, I was a PT for 5 years, so maybe something in that field. I mean, I was around a lot of guys that went down the wrong path. Some are in jail now and doing the wrong thing. So, But you know, boxing helped me stay on the straight and narrow, and keep me doing the good things, and made me you know, pursue my goals and be the best I could be. So in terms of where I'd be, I couldn't say exactly. I actually don't know what I do without boxing, because I started so young,
Right.
and boxing has been a part of my life for so long. I don't know what to do if I didn't box. Like, I'd have a fight, right? I'd box. Let's say I boxed the weekend gone. Coach maybe tell me to rest for a week, but I don't know what to do with myself. I end up back in the gym after 2-3 days, because I'm just sitting around at home. I don't know what else to do. All I know is go to the gym and train. So, you know, God knows what I'd be doing, man.
It's funny, man, and that's really what, like, we had just talked about it. You know, Coltrane and I just talked about it, just about, you know, when we talk about what's going on in the world today, you know, those that are committed and that adapt usually are the people that find ways to win when this thing is over. So, like, obviously, you know, we got this term, you know, you get, you know, it's a difference between getting ready and staying ready. And, you know, right now, you know, with that mindset you're having, that commitment, you're staying ready, because you always are wanting to be in the gym. You're kind of training your mind. You're watching fights. You can't live without it. So obviously, you know, when this whole thing, you know, blows over, you know, you'll be ready. So, or if your name is called last minute, you'll be ready, you know. So tell me about, you know, how the virus, you know, you're in the UK. So tell me, how has the virus affected you in your training? Now you're able to do it full time. You know, I'm not sure how the pandemic affected you guys globally over there, but, you know, talk to me about that. Like, how has it affected you, and, you know, in terms of getting fights, or in terms of training and things of that caliber, sparring partners? How's the virus doing? And first of all, how are you and your family doing during this whole virus?
My family, thankfully, you know, thankful to God, are all good and well. It was a bit, I could say, you know, it was a bit. I got a bit nervous at the beginning, because a lot of people don't know. A lot of my family live in China, so my sister, her husband, and her children all live in China with her. So when the news first broke about this deadly disease spreading over China and it was killing people, and you know, it was a nervous time for my family, a scary time for my family, to be more precise. But you know, thankfully, they're all safe, and all my family back home are all safe. And yeah, I mean, when the virus first broke out, I was actually pretty lucky, because I had a fight scheduled for the first week of March, and I managed to. That show still went ahead, so I managed to get another win on the board. I managed to get in the ring and fight. But all the shows for the next week, they all got cancelled, because the whole country went into lockdown. So the whole country went into lockdown. We weren't even allowed out. You know, the only thing we were allowed to do was go out to get the groceries and go home, and that was it. So we were just stuck doing that. We were limited to one form of exercise a day, and you know, that was just road work, running. So you know, it got to a point where it felt like we were in jail, because you know, we're so, like I was saying earlier, I'm so used to just going to the gym. I've done it for so long. Like I just felt out of place. I just wanted to go to the gym and train, and it was so frustrating to not be able to do so, and just being limited to running once a day. And as well as that, the whole boxing world in the UK came to a complete standstill. You know, there was no shows, there was no talk of any shows going on. A lot of rumors were going around saying boxing won't be back for maybe a whole year. Other guys were saying it's going to be behind closed doors. But it was so uncertain at the time. So it was frustrating because I had just won. I felt like I had the momentum going, and I was ready to build onto bigger and better things. But the virus came and sort of brought everything to a halt. But, you know, we stayed positive throughout. You know, we always believe there's a light in the tunnel situation. So we just stayed positive. And we know, like, now we're just waiting for the thing to pass. And, you know, once it passes, we're ready to go. I mean, like I said, I'm always staying ready. I'm always staying in shape in case the phone rings. Because, you know, boxing's back.
Boxing's back, yeah.
So I'm ready to go.
And obviously, for those who don't know, you're a super featherweight. So, you know, for those who don't know, you're a super featherweight. So talk to me about, like, you know, as we learned more about, you know, Super Youssef, you know, talk to me about, you know, when you think about it, the challenges you faced in the sport thus far. You know, obviously COVID-19 is one challenge that we've all faced, you know, from some shape or form, you know, whether it been from people we know or whether it been us sports junkies. Like, we, you know, we're kind of like on the couch just watching old fights on YouTube, and we're just, we're just trying to watch things. So Roberto and I are actually, believe it or not, we're UFC fans. We love boxing way more, but like because there's nothing to do, we've watched UFC. Listen, if they put kids softball on right now, I'll watch it. If they put kids soccer on right now, I watch it. So I guess my question is, let's talk about that. Like what are some of the challenges you faced in the sport thus far besides COVID-19?
I'd say one big challenge I've faced is in the UK, they've got big time boxing, which is the boxing on the TV, the big arena boxing, and they also got boxing, which they call in the UK small hall boxing. And small boxing has no TV revenue in. So the only revenue for the show is from ticket sales. And because of this, the pressure is put on the fighters to sell their own tickets. So for example, if I'm going to go fight on a small show, if I was going to do a 4-rounder, my opponent's money will come out of my ticket sales, and my manager promoter's money will come out of my ticket sales too. So all the pressure was on me to meet a certain quota, whether it be 70 tickets, 100 tickets. I'd always have a certain quota to meet. And the difficult thing was, if you don't meet your quota, if I don't sell 70 tickets, I make up the rest out of my own pocket. So if I sell 60, the other 10 tickets I pay for myself. And I've had to do it a couple of times, but it was a challenge. But if boxing was easy, everyone would do it. So I just saw it as something as it's part of the process. Like with dream chasing in any field, there's ups and downs. It's never a smooth sailing to the top. So, like they say, I bit down on my gum shield and I took the L's, the financial L's, and I just went through it, pushed through it. But yeah, I mean, there are positive sides to it as well. You get to see who's really supporting you out of your circle and who really wants to see you win, because there's always guys that say, oh, I want you to do well, I want to support you, but when it comes down to, you're going to come and buy a ticket to come see the fight, they stop answering the phone, they stop answering your messages. So it's good as well. You get to see who's really with you, who's really your friend, and who's really supportive of your career, and who really wants to see you win, So there's positives there as well.
What you just said reminds me of two things, and I appreciate that and your candor and your honesty, because it reminds me of what Steve reminds me one thing of what Coltrane used to always say. Coltrane and Roberto, they're always talking about the business side of boxing, and that, for those who don't know, like obviously when you got to kind of serve as your own ticket salesman, as well as train, that could be a little bit of pressure, because now, your money's coming, that money could be messed up if you don't sell those tickets. But what's also enlightening to me is the fact that Steve Cunningham put up this post. Shout out to Steve Cunningham. He put up this post a while ago, and he said, they listed all the sports, and they said the hardest, most complicated sport to be a part of, number one, hands down, was boxing.
Yeah, I think I saw the post. Yeah.
Yeah. So you just basically lended credence to that, because for us, that as we sit back as couch potatoes watching, like, oh, why this guy didn't do this? Why didn't guy do that? There's so many different levels that go into the sport that we not know about. So you just share something that most of the your viewers, your followers, or our followers may not know about. So thank you for sharing that. So let's
think a lot of people, they don't know about that side of boxing. I mean, there was times where I'd be fighting the next day, and I was out the night before till about 1, 2 a.m. delivering tickets, collecting money of people, all sorts of stuff. And I think there was one time I got home 3, 4 in the morning because he told someone I'm going to be outside yours at 12, and then they come down at 12:45 and stuff. So. But yeah, it is what it is though. I mean, like I said, nothing comes easy. It's part of the process. And yeah, man, you got to stay positive.
And it seems like you've done a great job at doing that, man. So let's talk about your career. So how many amateur fights did you have? And when did you turn pro? So talk to us about that.
As an amateur, I had 40 fights, 130 of them. I had a really long amateur career. I was amateur for about 10 years. So really and truly on paper, I should have had a lot more. But I mean, we ended with 40. I boxed for London. I represented London out in, I think it was Sweden. We boxed a team in Sweden, and we boxed another team in Denmark, in Copenhagen as well. So I got to travel a bit. I never really got into the GB and the whole Olympic squad kind of thing. But I managed to travel with the England squad and do a couple of things with them as well. So that was pretty good. I turned pro in 2017 with Xavier. I think it was September I had my debut. And, you know, it felt amazing to me because when I first laced up the gloves all them years ago, I always had a dream of being a professional boxer. I always wanted to be pro. I mean, I know the Olympics and the World Championships and all that sort of stuff, it's amazing. And if I had given the offer to go to those things, I would have definitely gone. I mean, only a fool would turn down those things. But my main goal in boxing was always to turn pro. I love pro boxing. I remember years ago, because all I used to do was watch pro boxing and try and emulate what I saw on TV from the pros. I went to an England boxing camp and all the coaches told me, your style is too pro. Your style is too pro for the amateur. Your style is too pro to go to the Olympics and these sort of things. So, but in my head, I didn't care anyway. I wanted to turn pro. That was my main goal from when I first stepped in the gym. So having my first fight in September 2017, you know, it felt like it was a dream come true. I mean, I could finally say I'm a professional boxer, you know.
Good. Now talk to us. You mentioned Xavier. I'm going to ask you two questions. You know, you mentioned Xavier. Obviously, we at GYGB, we love Coach Xavier, and we love your management team. But talk to us about, you know, what he's like. What is it like being, you know, coached by him? You know, talk to us about your management team, and you know, what has life been like with them? You know, since you've turned pro. That's not a loaded question. You know, it's you know, I don't want the heat-seeking missiles to come out right now. But you know, you go ahead and you answer it the way you need to answer it.
No, go. I'll answer it, man. I'll answer it. So, I mean, I met Xavier. Actually, I knew Xavier from before I actually went to him as an amateur. I used to see him around the circuit a lot. The boxing world is a small world as it is, and it's even smaller in London. I mean, everyone knows everyone, especially on the amateur boxing circuit. So I knew Xavier from before. He'd bring guys down to spar me at where I was training at the time. So we knew each other. We always clicked. We always got along. And then time came, I thought, you know, I wanted to go and train with him. And, you know, I went down to his gym and it just went from there. I mean, me and coach, our personalities just clicked, man. I mean, we just get along so easy. I follow his instructions so easy. But I think more than that, on a personal level, me and him have a great connection. Like, we very rarely argue, but I don't think we've ever had an argument about him. You know, we're just cool. And, you know, as a boxer, he's the best. He's the best that I could ask for. His flashy pad coaches that we see nowadays, a lot of guys think they can hold the pads and do some flashy. Yeah, do you know what I mean? They do the little, they do the little combinations and they want to call themselves a boxing coach. No, he's actually proper taught me boxing from when I first stepped into his gym. He's a real teacher, and his attention to detail is something, you know, I don't think anyone would have seen before. He actually breaks down my sparring videos to the point where it's in slow motion, and he'll send me like 2-3 second clips of things I'm doing wrong, things I'm doing right. And with Zav, it never stops as well. It's not, we go to the gym, he trains me at the gym, we leave the gym and then it's done. He's sending me things all day about boxing, sending me fights to watch, telling me what to do next time we spar. So he's fully dedicated to his fighters and helping us be the best we can be in the sport.
We love him. Like, one of the things we love, when you say attention to detail, he's always posting, because he's from our era, so he's always posting some hip hop lyric, and we like, yo, you remember this? So like, you know, we know that his ear, you know, if he's like that in the corner as he is when he posts those hip hop videos, then his attention to detail is second to none. He'll pick out the smallest lyric of a rap line from like the 90s. And we're like, you remember this? He's like, oh yeah, mate, I remember this. And I'm like, oh crap. So, you know, that's our guy.
Yeah, second to that.
Yeah. So here's a question for you. So like, what is a typical day? Like you mentioned about training and him breaking stuff down. So what is like a typical day, a typical training day? You know, obviously when all this stuff blows over, but if COVID-19 wasn't here and there was no restrictions for you to just do road work, what is a typical training week? You know, briefly, what is that like for you?
I'm actually lucky again. I managed to fly out to Portugal. So right now I'm actually in Portugal, and you know, we're in camp with Dylan White for his fight with Povetkin, and I mean, we're lucky there's not many restrictions, so I've been able to train as if I was in a full training camp, whereas back home it was, you know, pretty much lockdown. I couldn't get to the gym. It was just road work, you know. So as soon as I've said, you know, you can come out here, I jumped at the chance. I flew out straight away, managed to get out of the UK, and I'm here. So, but I think a typical training day here, we train 2-3 times a day. We might do some technical work in the morning, some pad work, some technical drills. It'd probably be something that we spoke of the night before. It might have been something that I've seen in my sparring that I need to correct, or something he's seen that I can take advantage of. So we'll go in the gym in the morning, do some pad work on that, some bag work. Might supplement that with some strength conditioning, some running, some weights, a bit later on in the day after a little break. And then, you know, we come in the evening and then it's maximum violence time. Like Dylan says, you know, it's time for that sparring. So that's pretty much what our Monday, Wednesday, Friday looks like over here.
How often do you spar a week?
We're averaging 2 days at the moment. So I do Mondays and Fridays. Sometimes do a Wednesday, depending on how I feel. But I think the more work I can get in, the better. I mean, there's a lot of, you know, experienced guys out here that I'm working with, trying to learn from them and just trying to make the most out of being in this specific camp, because I'm around, you know, one of the best heavyweights in the world. My coach is here with me, available 24/7. There's also like some strength conditioning guys that are here that are supposed to be top notch. So I'm just taking advantage of being around these guys and all these guys being in the same place as me. So I'm just trying to learn from everyone. I'm basically a sponge. I'm trying to be a sponge and take from everyone and learn everything and put it together to my arsenal and make myself better. You know what I mean?
Good, and that's a good way to go, because I always tell people that, you know, the best listeners, you know, are probably going to be the most successful people. And, you know, that's the reason why God gave you 2 ears, you know, so you can absorb and hear more, you know, give you 1 mouth so you can talk less. So it's good that you're actually, it's
I
good
like
that.
I'm going to use that
good.
one.
Yeah, hey, listen, man, if he gave you 2 or something, you got to use it more. So I'm happy that you're using, you know, you're absorbing a lot more and you're listening to your coaches, because, you know, a lot of these, you'd be surprised in any sport, man. People have acted like they have arrived and they kind of missed the boat. And then you hear it at the end, they say, I wish I would have listened to my coach more. You know, I should have listened to my coach more. I should have listened to my parents more. I should have listened to my teacher more. You always hear that like, you know, that regret that people have. And it's always because they should have listened more. So that's good that you're listening. So you talked about video. Talk to us about, you know, what's your favorite fight of all time to watch? Like, I love Ron Lyle and George Foreman, just for entertainment value. And obviously we love, you know, any of the Chico Corrales' fights that he had with Jose Luis Castillo and things of that caliber. But what are your favorite fights? Like, if you're in the house, what fight can you watch over and over again and you will not get bored, and when you watch it, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna put it on pause and I'm gonna just work on this real fast. So like, what do you watch? Like, what's your favorite fight to watch?
I think it depends what mood I'm in, man. When I want to see something entertaining, like a proper tear or a proper war, you know, can't go wrong with Gatti Ward. Can't go wrong with any of the good fights, the trilogy. I even like going back in time and watching Ali Fraser, you know, the trilogy as well. Great fights there. I don't really have a specific fight, you know. I like to watch a lot of old school boxing that my coach shows me, like, you know, Poison Jones and them guys and Derek Gain and them guys. I like watching them guys because I feel like I can learn a lot more from them. So, you know, I like watching Holyfield. One guy I like watching the most, I'd say, if I was going to watch anyone, I like watching James Toney. You know, I really like his style. I watch more his sparring videos. I mean, I don't know why I like his sparring videos. Maybe because he talks more in the sparring videos and makes me laugh at that. But I like watching his sparring videos.
His competitive nature and his technical stuff is just second to none. You know, it is really like, it's unbelievable, man. Like, when you talk about just how a guy that started at middleweight, you know, and obviously, you know, went all the way up to heavyweight, but still, like, and, you know, implored that style and everything like that. It's because he was so technically good, man. And he was super competitive too, man. He was a dog.
Yeah. It was a real animal. It was a real animal in the ring, man. I mean, I love his slickness. I love his style. And I think what drew me more towards it was how I actually first come across him. Actually, was I was watching him fight Roy Jones with a friend of mine.
Oh boy!
And we all know the incident where he tried to put his hands down and take the mick a bit, and Roy Jones hit him with the left hook and dropped him quickly. And then I was thinking, who is that guy? Who is he? I looked him up, and I liked his style, his way he's boxing. I mean, because being in the gyms in the UK, you don't really see anyone box like that out there. There's one. It's like one route boxing out. Just the straight up Olympic style that they like to box. So it was something new to me, and then from then, man, James Toney was my guy, man. I used to watch all his fights. I like the fight with John Ruiz.
Oh,
just
yeah.
because he looked so out of shape, but he was still doing the job, man. You know what I mean? So that's one of my favorite fights as well.
That was a great fight, and I think we were happy when that happened too, because obviously he won a belt on that fight as well. But
yeah.
Let me ask you a question. So, do you have a favorite fighter? Like, that's your favorite fighter? Is that one of your favorite fighters, if you will? Because I know you talked about some of the fights you watch. Would he be considered one of your favorite fighters?
Yeah, most definitely. I wouldn't say I have one specific. I've always had the philosophy that, if one person wants to be in a certain position one day, for example, if I want to be a good boxer one day or a world champion one day, I've got to look at the guys in the position that are in the position I want to be in, and take something from all of them. Because the more you look into all of them, the more you find patterns. For example, if you look at all the long reigning champions, they're dedicated. Something wrestling, they'll be all dedicated, or they'll be all hardworking. You find little things, patterns that all of them have, and you just add it to your game, add it to your arsenal. So I don't have one specific boxer. I try to watch everyone, but I'd say I do have favorites though. If I'm going to be honest, James Toney is my favorite. I do like watching Floyd. Floyd's another one, and even guys like George Benton, going back all the way. I like watching George Benton as well. So yeah, man, I try to take as much as I can from everyone. I don't have one specific guy. Even pressure fighters like Roberto Duran, I like watching everyone.
And it's funny. It's good to hear. For those who don't know, you were born in what, 1996?
Yeah.
So it's good to hear that you are shouting out people like James Toney, Roberto Duran, and Benton, because a lot of people think that boxing started with Deontay Wilder, or like that boxing, and we love Deontay Wilder, or boxing started with like some of the Charlo brothers or Gervonta Davis, who are they're all good in their own mind, but like in order for you, like you said, to have like to learn those patterns and learn what it means to be a champion, look no further than than going on YouTube, vibing out, and just trying to find out what made those guys great. Because it's good to hear your generation give props to the older generation, because I think that once you start looking at the older generation, you realize that you can pick a couple of things or two from there and add it to your game now to be successful today. So, there's no future without a history.
100%.
No future out of history. So
exactly,
I appreciate
100%.
Yep. So here's a question for you. What is your best attribute as a boxer? Like, if someone said, describe Super as a person. Now, obviously, I'll tell everybody the way I got, acclimated to Super Youssef was the fact that, I was talking to Coach Xavier on IG, and we were talking like 2 years ago, and he said, I want you to look at this guy. And I looked at it and I watched it, and I was sitting there, and you fought a gentleman named Birmingham, I believe, and I think you knocked him out like the 8th round, the 7th round. But when you beat him, I was just looking at your footwork, your ring generalship, how you were fighting off the ropes, and I was just like, oh, this little cat can go, right? Like where'd you get him from? And he's like, oh, I've been working with him. So talk to me about it, because obviously a lot of people want to know, more about your style. Like, how would you describe your style?
I'd say, a lot of boxers would answer that question and say, it's my speed, it's my power, it's my defense. For me, I believe my best attribute is my ability to stay calm and in certain situations in the ring, you know, always try and stay calm and collect, regardless of what's going on. I mean, when I did fight David Birmingham, I think it was a couple of years ago now. I think it was a year ago. A lot of guys were saying it was too early for me. You know, this guy's too strong for me because I was too young for him. You know, the whole shebang, they were giving it to me. So, but you know, I still got in the ring and I just stayed calm. I mean, he tried to rush me really early. He tried to come out for a lot of punches. Even when I fought for the title, the English title, the same sort of style. The guy pretty much ran at me from the first bell. But my ability to stay calm and you know, use my IQ in the ring regardless of what's going on, I think is my best attribute, because a lot of guys may be in the same situation of a guy running at them 100 miles an hour from the first bell, plus the pressure of wanting to prove everyone wrong that doubted you before getting in the ring. You know, it might have been too much for them, but you know, I just stay calm. I always believe I'm going to do well and stay positive. I think that's my best attribute, to be honest.
That's a great attribute, because you know we have kids over here that you know, they play basketball, and we give them, and we coach them a lot. And the one thing we always say is, you know, you have to play at your own speed. You know, you can't go out and play and play at a speed that you're uncomfortable with. So I like the way that you said that, because you know, that guy, one thing I noticed, that guy was trying to rush you. You were fighting off the ropes like you was like Spider-Man. You was dipping and slipping, turning back. And I'm like, dang, like, look at this guy. So I did notice that about you, because he did try to swarm you. And, you know, I think a lot of people get caught up in those firefights and they wind up trying to swing back and wind up getting caught. So that's a great thing to point out about you. So let me ask you this. Your weigh-in vibe, like, you know, is there anything you like, your music, like your ring walk music, like what you listening to? I mean, you have an old school flow about you when you talk about Duran and all that. And I know Coach Xavier is sort of like an 80s, 90s baby. So like what music do you have playing right now that's kind of getting you hyped up, or when you're walking, you're doing your ring walk and things of that caliber, get you in that vibe before you go in your ring, before you go to the ring? What you listening to?
You know, Xavier's probably sick of it, but because I listen to it pretty much every session. You know, I'll connect my phone up to the speaker and blaze it in the gym and all that sort of stuff. So, but you know, I always like to listen to Meek Mill before I train. He's been my ring walk for pretty much all of my fights. He just gets me in the mode, man. He gets me in fight mode. I mean, it's because he's talking about real stuff that people can relate to. And it just gets me in fight mode. It just gets me ready to rip someone's head off in the ring. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I still stay calm. but it does get me in fight mode and ready to go. I mean, sometimes I do change it up. There was a couple fights where in the changing room before the fight, I had some Michael Jackson playing. You know, I wanted to just relax and you know, I think the game plan for that fight was for me to box. I think it was the Birmingham fight. It might have been for me to box and move. So I had some Michael Jackson playing in the changing room. You know, getting my groove on. Before I walked out, Shaka Khan and them kind of tunes as well. It just depends on my mood, really. I just listen to what I want to listen to before I fight. But definitely, like, on a daily basis, Meek Mill is playing when I'm training.
Funny, Meek Mill's from Philly, where we're from. So that's a great testament. So, so you're in Portugal right now. So do you want to tell us who you're fighting? Like, you know, when is that going to happen? And, you know, all that good stuff.
I'm not sure as of right now. I'm just staying ready. I'm training as if I'm in a full camp. I'm training ready. I'm just staying ready, sorry, just in case the phone rings. You know, never know with how the world's going with COVID and all that. You know, fight could come whenever. They've got boxing back on in the UK behind closed doors. There's a couple guys in my weights fighting on them shows. So, you know, you never know. Someone might pull out of an injury. Someone might not be able to make weight. They need a quick replacement. They might call me, so I'm just staying ready, locked and loaded, ready to go. I've teamed up with Dylan White, who's managing me now. So, you know, shout out to Dylan White. Yeah, man, he told me to stay in shape, so I'm just staying in shape. So be ready in case the phone rings. So I'm ready, man. I'm running my road work, my sparring. I'm ready to go.
So we're going to, I'm sure everybody wants to know, like, about that, like, you know, your dream fight. But let's talk about what's one of your favorite moments, memorable moments thus far as being, you know, a professional. Do you have a memorable moment?
Yeah, I'd say it's my the ring walk for my debut. That's something I'd never forget. You know,
What you have playing? So what did you have playing? Walk us through that day. What you have playing? You were talking about Michael Jackson, Meek Mills. What you have playing that day?
I had Meek Mill playing in the change room, definitely. I had Meek Mill playing in the changing room. I had Michael Jackson playing in the change room as well, just before I came out. I feel like them Michael Jackson tunes and that, they just relaxed me. So I had them playing in the changing room. And then I think when I eventually came to walk out, I came out to a UK-based artist. I came out to a guy called Chipmunk. I don't know if I think he was in the US for a while ago. I'm not sure what he did, but yeah, I came out to Chipmunk, and but I think what stands out to me was the fact that, you know, I'm finally doing what I've always wanted to do. You know, it was time. You know, I remember being a kid playing Fight Night on the PlayStation all night. You know, I made myself as a character on Fight Night, and you know, me and my friends would be like, oh, when I'm pro, I'm gonna come out to this song and I'm gonna get this gloves and I'm gonna get my shorts done like this. And it was finally there. It was time to go. That's why I'll never forget that moment. As well as that, you know, I did very well on my ticket sales for that fight. A lot of my friends, a lot of my family were there. Right. So they was all cheering me on walking out. So yeah, that's something I'll never forget, man.
Now, tell me about how were you? So it was your first time, it's a dream come true, you're walking down, you know, obviously everyone asks you, always tell people there's a difference between being scared and nervous. You know, describe to me, like, in one word, what your mindset was walking down that ring, you know, doing the ring walk for your first professional fight. One word, describe it to me.
One word, yeah? One word, that was it. It was just violence, man. It was violence. How I thought of it actually was, you know, because I'm selling the tickets, right? And I'm selling tickets to family members, to close friends. I'm taking money off my people. And I was like, you know, they're taking time out of their day and spending their money coming to watch me fight. I gotta make it worth their while. I can't, you know, just do the little points win and take the victory. I know we had to really put on a show for them. So I was like kill mode that day, violence, man. I was actually pretty nervous. I was pretty nervous when they gave me the gloves, because I'd never seen pro fight gloves before. I'd only seen the amateur gloves, and I didn't know there was a massive difference between them.
Talk about those differences. Talk about those differences real fast. Unpack that. Talk about those differences between the gloves.
The amateur gloves, when I fought with, I think they were 12 ounce, loads of padding, really fat, and they're just loads of padding. It's like sparring gloves, really, really padded. And when I went to collect the gloves on the night for the debut, the guy gave me these small 8-ounce gloves. They look like they've been worn 100 times. They had blood in them. You know, the leather was falling apart. And I was like, I looked at them, and I looked at the guy that gave me the gloves, and I goes, is this right? Are you supposed to give me these, or something wrong? And he looked at me and he goes, no, there's nothing wrong. Those are the gloves. And he goes, looked at him. I even went to Zav. I said, Zav, the gloves. Is this right? He goes, yeah, it's right. What would you expect? Because I wasn't expect. I was only seeing the amateur gloves at the time. I didn't see the real, you know, pro gloves. And then that's why I started understanding why, you know, when people get knocked out with jabs, even in the pro game, like I hit someone flush in the amateur sometimes and nothing would happen. And, you know, I think, whoa, what's wrong with my power, man? But when I saw the gloves, man, I said, yeah, this is for real now.
It's funny. So you talked about the ring walk, and you talked about, you know, obviously you fighting in different places. Where would be your dream place to fight? You know, if you had your druthers, like, you know, obviously some people aspire to be in Vegas. Some people aspire to be in Atlantic City. Some people aspire to be, you know, New York. You know, even Wembley Stadium, like where now Saudi Arabia, that's a place and everybody's going. So where would you want to fight? Like, what would be your dream place to fight that you, before your career ends, I want to be there?
I got two places. One is obviously, you know, Wembley Stadium. I'm actually from Wembley. I grew up there. I lived there my whole life, pretty much. I used to do my road work up the stairs at Wembley Stadium. So, you know, like Rocky got up the stairs in Philly. Yep. I used to go up the stairs at Wembley Stadium, you know, always used to say, one day I'm gonna win a world title in there. So, you know, I'd always love to fight Wembley Stadium. I fought at the arena, which is a small little venue next to it. So, you know, I managed to tick that box off the list. But, you know, one day I'd love to fight, you know, at the stadium, and, you know, to have all my people, they're all my local people because I'm from the area. My second one is the MGM Grand in Vegas. I'd love to fight in Vegas. you know, that's where all the big fights happen. As big as Wembley Stadium is, you know, the pinnacle of boxing is in America, is in Vegas. All the big fights happen at the MGM. I mean Vegas in general, maybe a lot of fights that used to be Caesar's Palace, loads of venues in Vegas. I'd love to going over to America to spar. So, you know, one day hopefully we can make it happen.
That's good. That's good to hear. And obviously, you broke up for a second, but talk about what you were saying. You were coming over to America to spar. You were saying?
Oh no, me and Zav always talking about possibly coming over to America one day to spar.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, that's how we feel boxing's the best over there. So, you know, we was talking about one day coming over there and experience sparring out there, experience the gym culture out there, because it's different to where we're from.
No, listen, man. You know that's not the poo-poo in the UK. Like you guys have some, you know, over the years, you guys had some killers over there too, man. So you know, I think it goes neutral as well. But speaking of which, speaking of coming to US, speaking of this whole culture, ring walks, you know, you're a super featherweight. Obviously, well, let's get one thing clear. What? All right, I'm gonna unpack. There's two parts of this question. What is your goal? What is your end goal? And in boxing, like, what do you want to accomplish out of the sport? And then talk to us about what your plans are in terms of who's your hit list. Like, we have a Kill Bill list. If you watch the movie Kill Bill, she had that list and she was just going around, going down, kill. Like, who's your Kill Bill list? Like, who do you want? You know, so obviously talk to us about, you know, your goal. Like, what would be your end goal? Like, you know, so the day you retire, what do you want to have already accomplished in the sport as a professional? And then talk to us about your Kill Bill list.
I mean, I first started boxing wanting to be a world champion. That was always my goal. That was always my dream. So if I retire from boxing a world champion, I'll be a happy guy. You know, I'll be over the moon with that. In terms of a hit list, I mean, I always, like I said earlier, I'm a competitive person, and because of my competitive nature, when people, a lot of people I know, let me start again. A lot of people I know are casual boxing fans. They're not real boxing fans like us, you know. They watch the boxing here and there. And a lot of them are Ryan Garcia fans. They see him hitting the little bag thing he hits, and they see him do the crazy stuff in the pads. And, you know, they think he's like levels with talking about his name with Floyd and that sort of thing. So because of my competitive nature and because I'm similar weight to him, you know, I want to prove him wrong. I want to show him, no, man. I mean, he's not levels with Floyd. I mean, bags don't hit back. Pads don't hit back. I mean, I'll hit back. Do you know what I mean? So he's on my Kill Bill list because I just want to show the world, you know, especially those casual fans that I know that, you know, how boxing really is. It's not just looking good on pad work means you can get in the ring and you're the $1 million guy. Do you know what I mean?
So who was that again? Repeat that again. Who was that on your list? Who was that?
The King, Ryan Garcia.
Right. Okay, Ryan Garcia. Okay. All right. There you have it. All right. There you have it. Anybody else?
There's a guy, I don't know if you know him. He's from the UK. He's from Manchester in the UK. His name's Zelfa Barrett.
I've heard him before.
High up. Yeah, he had him before. He's an up-and-coming guy in the UK. He's had about 20-something fights. He's on my hit list domestically.
Right.
Domestic hit list. Yeah, I got a worldwide hit list, a domestic hit list. Too many hit lists, man. Too many.
Domestic hit list, international hit list. Like, which one is it?
I mean, Josh Warrington's another one. I think Josh Warrington will be a great fight. You know, he's on the list as well. In terms of worldwide, I mean, anyone is up there, man. Anyone is up there. Any world champion, anyone, man. I mean, I want to prove. I want to test myself against the best. You know, just to see how good I am.
You're 5'8". Am I correct? You're 5'8", right? So
yeah.
where do you see yourself landing in terms of division? Because, you know, you're I'm looking at Floyd. Floyd is 5'8" a lot. You know, that's pretty tall for your division. Like, so where do you think you're going to wind up? Do you think you can, you know, go up to lightweight after this? Do you think, you know, you can go up to like, you know, the junior welterweight? Like, where do you see yourself like finishing, you know, or moving up to? Like, how long do you think you're going to be able to stay at super featherweight?
It's a funny one. It's a funny one because I actually started my career at lightweight. So pretty much all of my fights up until the English title fight, which was my 11th fight, had been at either lightweight or super lightweight. It's only when I was offered that fight for the English title at super featherweight that, you know, me and Coach Zab, we spoke about moving down in weight and going in at super featherweight. And it was a funny one because, you know, speaking about it before, Coach was saying I'm gonna have to go in the hot bath before the weigh-in, get the sauna suit out, go in the sauna for a couple hours. But, you know, funny enough, I made the weight pretty easy. I mean, I think I ate, if I remember properly, I ate on the day of the weigh-in. I was drinking water up until the weigh-in as well. So I made the weight pretty easy. It was pretty easy to make it. So I think I can be able to stay at super featherweight for a while. I am tall for the weight. But if I keep making the weight properly and sensibly, I can stay at this weight for a while and, you know, eventually move back up to lightweight and possibly junior welterweight. And, you know, as far as I can go, really, I don't know if I'm going to try to do a Manny Pacquiao and do 8 weights. I think I leave that to Manny.
What's good about it, I know you can do it because if anyone has gotten anything from this interview, your attitude, your willingness to learn, your humbleness, you know, and the fact that you love maximum violence, you know, you put all that together, you know, I think that the stars, you know, in the sky is the limit for you, man. We're willing. So I don't think that we will have any doubt, you know, if you achieve, not if, when you achieve all those goals, because again, like I said, I think that, you know, the reason why we have you here is because I think that you're very, very, very special. And I think that people are going to really catch on, man. So we giving, you know, in Philly, we used to always say, man, hey, man, we're going to put you on to something. You know, we're going to put you on to something before it gets hot. So we trying to put people on to something. So, you know, I just want to thank you, man, for your time and, you know, and just your honesty and just getting, you know, giving us an opportunity to learn a little bit more about you and, you know, who you are and sharing that with us. And you want to tell everybody where they can follow you and on social media so that way they can have a way to keep in track with you?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm on Instagram at the moment. I'm only on Instagram at the moment, and that's super_Youssef. Easy to find. I'm on Facebook as well, which is my full name, which is Youssef Daniel Fabro Khoumari. If you want to find me, add me up on Facebook as well. But yeah, man, thank you guys for your time as well, and you know, supporting my career and following my career, because you were saying you followed me from when I fought David Birmingham, and that was 2-3 years ago, I think now. So thank you guys, and thank you for putting me on as well and having me on the page.
All right, man. Yo, man, you take it easy, man. Go get some rest, man, and bring that maximum violence this week.
Definitely. That's what happens when you're around Dylan White too much. You become maximum violence. It gets
guy, man. He's a special one, man. He's a special one.
Yeah, for real.
All right,
it's
take
amazing
care.
to be around. All right, mate. Take care. Stay safe.